Okay, bonsoir et bienvenue à la dernière session de révision de Carlam Cymru. So this session will focus on French AS and will be presented by Madame Claire Turner from St. Lois High School. The session will last around 45 minutes, where Madame Turner will go through the translation from French into English in your paper. If you have any questions, please use the question and answer section, and we will endeavor to answer your question during the session. So the session will be recorded with a recording and any relevant resources uploaded to the e-sgol website. So in the Carlam Cymru area. À vous, Madame Turner.
Merci, Madame Lloyd. Bonsoir tout le monde. Bienvenue. Session 4, fourth session, AS French reading, and we're tackling the translation question today. Okay, aims of the session: how to tackle the translation question. And this is in Unit 2, Section B, and it's reading question 5. And we'll have some practice of this. Okay, some general tips first of all. Very similar to other tips you've been having for the gap fill, for reading, generally listening, grammar, vocabulary for the writing parts. The grammar and vocabulary are essential. We've said this before, and we've given you tips also in other sessions on how to how to practice the grammar, how to assimilate the grammar and vocabulary. Yeah, some of the things like some of the apps and how you can test yourself and vary how you learn your vocabulary. So look back at those other sessions for help with vocabulary. Pay special attention to the verbs and tenses. This is crucial. The verbs might be the correct translation, but if the tenses are wrong, you're going to lose the marks. You won't get the marks. And read as much as possible. For this translation from French into English, your quality of writing in English is important. So reading generally, good quality English books and so on will help with your English vocabulary as well as understanding what the French is. Okay, so complete past papers for practice. Any practice you can get, and look at your mark schemes, and check how you get on. Okay, so general tips. Looking now more closely at this translation, which is question 5. It's linked to the gap fill that we covered in not last week, but the week before. Yeah, so having a look at that gap fill question. Now, the gap fill question was worth 5 marks, wasn't it? There were 5 gaps. You had lots of words to work out. But this gap fill question really helps you with the context. So the context for the translation. The translation leads on after that gap fill text. Yeah, so go back through that gap fill. It will help you with the context for the translation. Read the translation first of all, the text for gist. I'll give you a general idea what's going on. And then you need to go back and read the text again carefully. So you're trying, when you go back to read it carefully, you're really trying to understand the details of the text when you do this. You're thinking, through things. Is the register formal? Is it informal? Is it technical? What's the tone of the text? And that's what you need to be translating. Translate that accordingly, depending on into English. Have you got that formal register in your language? Have you got? Is it informal? Do you have that? You need to be looking out for any clues, a bit like detectives, like we've said before. So you're looking out for synonyms, cognates, check those false friends. They're going to be there. There are going to be pitfalls. You have been trying to be lured into these little, pitfalls. So try not to fall into them. Check your tenses. Check the context, the person narrating the text and so on. All these clues, use them. Choose appropriate words. Don't stray too far away from the original words, but you do have a little leeway. You don't have to translate it word for word. Try to work out unknown words from the context of the sentence. So when you're working it out, if there's something you don't know, you'll have underlined it or highlighted those unknown words, and then try and think, right, what could go here that would make sense? What could, what's a sensible, having an educated guess. Okay, so don't leave anything out when you're working things through. It's a really good idea to write a rough version. You have space on the paper to do that and time. So write a rough version. If it is a rough version, then please make sure you cross that rough version out, so that they know which one they're marking when they come to mark it for you. Read through the text once you've translated it. Yeah, so don't just think, right, come to the end, I've finished it now. Go back and read through it again very slowly. Does it all make sense? Does it read as normal English? Is that what we would read in our language? It must not sound as a stilted version of the original French, which can sometimes happen if we haven't quite got the wording right, the right vocabulary or expressions. So, is it what an English-speaking person would say? Make sure it doesn't sound quite strange. Okay. So polish it as much as you can. Make your writing, your handwriting legible. So however good your translation is, if they can't read your writing, you're going to lose marks. So these are the instructions you get when you come to this question. Traduisez en anglais l'extrait ci-dessous. Vous trouverez l'extrait souligné dans l'article. So be aware that is going to be your instructions. So translating in English, the extract below, and you'll find this extract, it's underlined in the text there. Okay, so let's look first of all at the 2017 translation. So we're going to look at several translations, the papers we have, and there's also a sample assessment at the very end for further practice for you. So again, as we said, this 2017 paper we're going to take first of all, read question 4 for context, read the text all the way through for a general overview, break down the paragraph into small sections, and what we need to be doing first of all is underline and highlight any verbs. What are their tenses? Yeah. Find nouns, number, articles, pronouns. Think about where the nouns are. Where are the adjectives? Where are the adverbs? Are there any prepositions? So you could color code these. Underline or highlight, however works best for you. You could underline keywords you don't know. So if there's something there that you don't know, or you might circle it, is there a word or words you're not sure of? And remember, don't miss out any parts. Yeah, so you have to sort of think about putting something there that will make sense. So check each section as you go along. So you do a quick check before you move on. And then at the very end, you go back to read back through yourself and check that it makes sense in English. So how does this translation get marked? How are your marks awarded? There are 20 marks for this. This is quite a big chunk of marks. So it's something that you really need to focus on and practice. Yeah. So we're aiming for with the AO2 here, we're looking at the 4 high marks there at the top. Each section there are 5 parts and the top mark is 4 each time. So total of 20, 5 4s 20. So you're looking here to get very good responses, demonstrating a very good understanding of the lexis and idiom of the language of study. So yeah, they really want you to show that you have that language, the vocabulary and so on. It is there and you understand it. You understand the everyday language, the expressions, okay, used in English. So let's have a little look here then at question 4, which is the context. Okay, so again, you've done this as a gap fill in the exam. You'll have just completed this. Just go back through those 5, those 5 words you had to fill in. Remember, reread the text here. So starting where it's saying to you to read this text, and put the words in which are, you know, the gaps. So you've already done that. So just have a quick reread through that text for the context, yeah? And then you'll come to the paragraph that you are going to be translating, which is the second one here. And it starts with ils sont tous là, c'est la seule photo de la famille, etc. Yeah, so it's these 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines you're translating. Yeah, so it's just a paragraph, isn't it? Yeah, it'll tell you where it's taken from. So let's have a little look then. If we're applying what we've just been saying, we're going to be looking out for verbs. Yeah, so what we could actually do, let's go moving on then a little bit too fast. What you could do is see if you can underline for me any verbs here in this text. Can you see any? So the text we're looking at is this bottom paragraph here. Okay, so give you a moment or two. There are quite, you know, full sentences, you know, have verbs in each sentence. So see if you can find the verb. I'm thinking, what tense is this verb? So have a little think. What tense do you think it is? Give you a moment or two to work out. You could text Madam Lloyd in the chat box with any verbs that you can find, and if even better, if you can think what tense it's going to be, that would be brilliant. If you can't, don't worry. But even if you can think of 1 or 2, that is fantastic. Yeah. So here are the verbs. Then they've been underlined here in yellow for you to just to make it a little bit clearer. So what are the tenses here? What verbs have we got? So what I would do then is color code. So you have a color, and you just then decide, you know, just make a little note next to each one what tense it is. Yeah. So we've got the first one, are. So they, whoever they are all there. So are. Okay. C'est, it is. When you come into rassembler, this is the perfect participle, isn't it? It's a bit like an adjective here. It's used to describe the family. So rassembler, past participle. We've got été, which is the imperfect, isn't it? And again, été here, imperfect tense, third person plural. And, oops, sorry, clicking on something is going too fast. Okay, vivre is the infinitive here, vivre. And we're going down to semble, second to bottom line, present tense, partir, again, infinitive. So after prêta, it's infinitive, isn't it? After that expression there. And then we've got here, quittera, it's the future. Last one there, sourire, la tante, from sourire, the verb, la vieille tante sourit, that is the present tense. So important when you come to translating that you get these tenses correct in English, yeah, so that you show that you've recognized what tense these are, okay? Otherwise, it can also alter the meaning as well. So moving on then, we're going to be looking next at nouns, okay? So have a little think. Can you see any nouns in this text? Any nouns? And what it might be an idea to do is to color code your nouns, a different color. Okay, I've used purple just for the next one, but whatever color you've got, where are the nouns here? So again, so I'm going to circle you a noun here to start you off on the right track. Have a little look. Where are the nouns here? Find all your nouns in the text. You've also got some personal pronouns here as well. Haven't highlighted those, but you could highlight the personal pronouns too. So you're making sure you're understanding, is it il or is it which, is it il, third person plural, or is it il, third person singular, and so on. Again, any nouns you can find, pop them in the chat box. When you're thinking about your nouns, think about the gender. Are they singular? Are they plural? Masculine, feminine? Yeah. So, that sort of information is important when you're coming to translate. So again, here are our nouns. Yeah. So different color. I've just changed the slide here so that, you obviously would be working on the same sheet, but it just for clarity here today, I've just put them on a separate slide. So we've got photo, famille. I think we're okay with those, aren't we? Pièce and fenêtre. Yeah. So we've got pièce, room, fenêtre. Now, if you weren't sure what that word is, underline it, or maybe circle it, do something there if you're unsure, or put an asterisk, whatever works for you. Yeah. So if you come across words you don't know, maybe you don't know tapis, you understand it's a noun. The fact that you understand what it is, noun or verb, it's useful, even if you're not sure of the translation at the moment. So again, focusing on these nouns, finding them first of all, making sure you know where the nouns are in the text, but also thinking about what they mean here. Careful with this one here. This actually has a hyphen. These two words have a hyphen, don't they? So it's not petits enfants, as in small, petits enfants, as in small children. That hyphen makes that a different word, doesn't it? So what is that word? Having a little think. So little hyphen there. So looking for, clues as to what the words might be. We know we know when they are, another way to think, are we sure we understand what a noun is? Because you're going to have la or une quite often in front of these. So that gives you clues, doesn't it? The article, definite or indefinite article will be there. You might have, this or that in front as a clue to show you, or there might be a possessive adjective here like son or mon to show this is the noun. So all of these clues here. You also might have adjectives afterwards or before the noun. So here you've got âgée referring to the femme. Yeah, une femme âgée. Okay, so that makes it easier to find these nouns, I think, if you look for the articles as well. Okay, going through now to adjectives. Again, I'm going to leave this on the screen a moment and see if you can you think of any, oops, sorry, moving on too fast. Can you think of any adjectives here? Can you see any? Again, any you can see, pop them in the chat box. Any adjectives? Okay, they'll be linked to nouns, won't they? Again, singular, plural, gender. Normally they'll be linking to the noun. So for example, here we've got seul. Photo is feminine, isn't it? And it's singular. So seul is going to be feminine singular with an E on. So I'm going to move on to show you these adjectives here, put them in a different color. Again, make sure you use different colors, otherwise it's just going to be hard to see these things. So again, you've got these describing words in the text, quite a number of them. So by now, if you've done, your verbs and your nouns, you're coming onto your adjectives in different colors, you've actually, highlighted quite a number of words in this text. There aren't a huge amount left. So again, we know when we come to translating in a little, why are we doing this? Yeah. So when we come to translating in a little while, étonné, we're going to know is masculine plural. And we've also discovered that les hommes is a noun. So the adjective is describing what these men are like, yeah? Les hommes. They were étonnés and fiers, which is masculine plural. Even if it's not, you know, straight, it's not the next word, okay? It can be a little bit further on. So it's split up a little bit. You've got été à la fois, a bit in the middle here. But it's still referring back to les hommes that have been mentioned. So they're masculine, they're plural. So it's thinking of you're describing these people here, yeah, that have been mentioned. And again, the il is still referring to the men here that have been mentioned. Okay, so if you don't understand a word, you're not sure, you know, either circle it or underline it, whichever you want to do, or, you know, put a different color. You've got lots of colors if you're using these colors, but color coding. But obviously you work a system out that works for you. And then after that, the next thing we need to think about is sorry, just checking what we're coming up next. Prepositions, okay? So have a little look for some prepositions. Again, put them in a different color. I've used like a green color. You choose something that works for you. Can you think of some prepositions? Can you see any here in the text? Thinking of maybe next to, for example. Not many prepositions, so you might not have huge numbers of some of these categories, yeah, but it just gives you, it just makes you think, oh yeah, I got to remember, I know what that is, it's a preposition and it means this, yeah. Okay, so looking at these, we have à côté de, so next to, and sans fenêtre. Okay, we'll come to thinking what they mean. You might be thinking that when you're color coding, but we'll look at them in detail in a moment too. The next thing to think about maybe are adverbs. Again, have another color for adverbs. Okay, so let's think now. An adverb is describing a verb, isn't it? So are there any adverbs here? In English, they tend to be ending in ly. A lot of them do, don't they? They end in ly, not all of them. And in French, you know, you get the same sort of thing here. You'll get an ending that might be different. So can you think of any adverbs at all? Sometimes in French, they'll end in ement, yeah. So are there any? Not always. They'll also there'll be other words as well that are adverbs. Anything that's describing those verbs? Anything here? Okay, so we've got a few here. In fact, I was saying to you about the ending ly in English. We haven't got, and I think it's in another of the translations where you have the endings that I just mentioned. Okay, so these are all different ones, but they're adverbs as well. Okay, coming to the end now of color coding, really. So we've got through, I think, most of the text by doing this. Yeah. So you're thinking, what's going on? How I'm going to have to start to translate in a moment. So the last thing I would suggest you do is think about any tricky words or any false friends. Can you see any in the text? This text has quite a number. If you look at these ones, I put a little equals with a cross through to say, you know, pièce is not a piece. It's not translated as a piece. Pater, terre is la terre, is the earth, but pater, this expression, doesn't translate as on earth. Yeah. Rassembler, some people I think that sounds like reassembled. It's not. A souris, it's not spelt like that. It can be translated, it can be a mouse, okay, but not with a T at the end. As a noun, it would have an S. That's why it's so important to work out now, is it a noun? Is it a verb? Because here you've already decided, you know, tante is a noun, la tante. What member of the family is la tante? Okay, that's a noun. And this is the verb sourire from, you know, she sourit, she smiles. The old auntie smiles, or the old aunt. So it can't be translated as the old auntie mouse. That just wouldn't work. So you're working out the context, yeah? We're talking about a family here, so the family member, the tante, is mentioned. Okay, so quitter is not to quit. Fenêtre can sometimes be translated as some of these, you know, feast, curtain, door. People didn't understand the word, trying to put a word in there that they thought would fit. And again, as I said earlier, petits enfants are not small children. Okay, so fier sounds a bit like fierce or fiery. It looks like that, doesn't it? It looks like fiery, just an extra letter there, but that's not how it translates. So careful with those. If you can think what they are now, pop some answers in the chat box, because that will help you in a moment when we come to translating. Okay, you can always remember, said this on other recordings, please press pause if you want to take more time at any point to do these, to have a practice yourself, yeah, before you if we come on to doing the answers. So you can easily press pause, work out what these words mean, write down the tricky words and the false friends, so that you've already got them sorted before we do the translation. Yeah. So we'll come to these in a moment. I'm not going to give you the answers to these quite yet, but we'll do that when we start looking at the translation here. So, traduisez en anglais. We know we're translating into English, making sure that it's French into English on the AS translation. Okay, so let's take a section at a time. Yeah, so we'll go as far as sans fenêtre with the first one. Yeah, first line. So, ils sont tous là. C'est la seule photo de la famille rassemblée dans une pièce sans fenêtre. Okay, we've got to translate this. So how are we going to do this? Thinking about the tenses, thinking about the adjectives, we've coded them, we know what is what. So they're all, tous is referring to ils, masculine plural. They are all, it's referring to ils here, they're all there, yeah, or here. Ils sont tous ici, or tous là. So c'est la seule photo. It is. Careful with our tenses, yeah? So it's the only photo, only photograph of the family. And this was a false friend, wasn't it? Rassemblé, which means gathered. Rassembler is to gather together. And it's referring to the family. The family gathered, past participle, they gathered. Dans une pièce, gathered together in une pièce, in a room. Une pièce is another word for une salle. A room in a house. Sans fenêtre. Sans means without, doesn't it? Without any windows. So they're there in a house which hasn't got any windows. So in a room without windows, it is windowless. Yeah, so you could say you know, windowless. It's without windows. So if you've got that sort of answer, then, you know, that's brilliant. You're going to get some, you know, top marks for that. So again, you know, if you want to have a go at this, I keep saying pause the recording. You know, if you want to, isn't time here to stop and let you write all of the translation out now, but you can stop and pause and have a go at it and then listen to the answers afterwards. You also will see the answer, you know, the translation written down too. So les hommes, so we're looking at nouns here, a noun rather, les hommes, plural. So the men, été, so this is referring to the men. What tense is this? So imperfect, they were, so à la fois, they were surprised. Okay, étonné. À la fois is an expression. What does this mean? Some strange translations of this, and it can be a little bit tricky. Yeah. So it could mean that they were both something and something else. They were both étonnés, surprised, and étonné is referring to the men. And fier, needing to know the vocabulary here, fier means proud. So they were both surprised and proud. Comme s'ils étaient contents de vivre. Vivre is a verb to live. Okay, so vivre is to be alive. Yeah. So as if they were happy, and the content with an S is referring to the men again. They were. Yeah. Get your tense right here. So they were happy to be alive. Yeah. So that's really important. So content de vivre. Par terre. Not earth, but par terre, an expression meaning on the ground. We have trois petits enfants, which are not small children. The hyphen in the middle is making that grandchildren. So 3 small grandchildren sont assis. What they're doing, they're sitting sur le tapis, which is like a carpet. So they're on, sur, à côté, next to, à côté d'une femme âgée. So they're next to that's the preposition, yeah, that we spotted, next to an old lady. An elderly lady would be good as well. Enfin, Avram. So finally, Avram, name of a person, capital letter. Set. You wouldn't translate this as the adolescent, the teenager. You'd need to make sure you are saying this teenager. Yeah, important. Qui, who. Semble, remember, is present tense. Sembler is to seem. He seems prêt à, ready. Prêt à, prêt is ready to do something. He's ready to partir, to leave, infinitive. And then we know that bien sûr means of course. Il, remember it's he now, not they. So careful as you're translating this. Il, and this is singular, third person singular, and it's the future tense. He will leave les. How are we going to translate les? That translates as them, doesn't it? Yeah. So il les quittera. He will leave them. Depuis le décès de son mari, un an après son mariage. So we've got depuis, which translates as since. Le décès is the death, yeah? Of, the death of who? It's the death of son mari, her husband. Now, some people have got femme and mari a little bit jumbled up. Mari is the husband, une femme is the wife, yeah? So, un an après son mariage, it was a year after, un an après, a year after her marriage, her wedding, or his, it could be his or her here, we're not totally sure. Okay, so either would be accepted. Excuse me. La vieille tante sourit. So the old, vieille, needing to know this adjective. Vieux, masculine, vieille, feminine. Singular, it's referring to the aunt. She smiles. Perdu, perdre is to lose. So this is the past participle here, isn't it? Lost, referring to the aunt. Lost for toujours. Toujours is ever. Lost for always, lost forever. Yeah. So have a little go back through it slowly, but that's the sort of translation that you're looking for there, without thinking, you know, falling into these tricky words and false friends, which we've now gone through. Pièce is a room, isn't it? Par terre, on the ground. Rassemblé, gathered together. Souris means smiles. Décès is the death of somebody. It doesn't mean deceased. Quitter is to leave. Fenêtre, remember, is a window. Petits enfants are the grandchildren. And fier means proud, not fierce. Okay. So there it is for 5 marks for each sentence. So more or less sentence, each part, okay, split into these bullet points here. So it's a total of 20 marks. Let's move on now and have a quick look at the 2018 translation. Okay, so we have this one here. I'm going to let you stop and pause it. Again, for context, look at the context, yeah? Read that question 4 with a gap fill. That would have been just directly before you do this translation. And then the translation for you is the part which is underlined, and it is underlined in the exam, yeah? It will be all underlined, the part to show you which part you're translating. So again, it's a very short paragraph. Looking for verbs, yeah, so we need to find some verbs. We're going to go through it a little bit more quickly now. So I'm just saying to you, these are the verbs here, but you could stop and pause and look for the verbs yourself. Color code. What tenses are they? Yeah. So we've got a passive here at the beginning, is described. We've got the present tense here, on se demande. Je dirais, what tense is that? Okay, conditional tense here. This is back to the present. Les films nous apprennent is referring to les films, the films teach us, yeah. But nous stimulent again is referring to the films. They stimulate us as well. Present tense voulez, vous serez future there. Ravi, et present tense. Si vous êtes venu voir, and that is if you have come to see, yeah. Si vous êtes venu, past tense. Passé composé, être, because venir is an extra verb, isn't it? Ce sera, it will be, future tense there at the end. Okay, colour code your nouns again. These are all the nouns in the text, I think, unless I've missed some, but those are colour code as many nouns as you can find. Remember, sometimes the name of a film will be a noun, won't it, or a person. Colour code them, have a think what they mean. Are they singular? Are they plural? Are they masculine? Are they feminine? You've then got your adjectives to think about. Colour code, masculine, feminine, singular, plural. Are they agreeing with the nouns there? Can you see which ones they're agreeing with? So grosse here is referring to déception, and you've got it's feminine because the article here is une. So remember, articles, le, la, une, un. These articles, definite, indefinite, they give you clues as to where the nouns are, don't they? A lot of the time. And then you'll find maybe some adjectives close by. Yeah. Prepositions, are there any? Sometimes, there'll only be 1 or 2. Connectives, conjunctions, where are those in the text? Linking words and so on. Can you see any? Any adverbs? Yeah, might be 1 or 2. Okay, and then we come to our tricky words and our false friends. So let's have a little look here. Déception is not deception. Some people have translated as deception. On se demande is not we demand. Grosse doesn't mean fat in this text here. Ravi, some strange answers. Ravaged, ravished, raving. Sounds like English words, but it doesn't translate like that. Défaut and not defects. Venir and voir sometimes get confused. Venir is to come, isn't it? Voir is to see. Décrit and écrit, again confusing the verbs. Décrit is described and écrit, written. So have a little look. You've color coded, you've worked out what sort of ones they are. Now can we have a little look at translating this text? So, l'homme, de même que l'explorateur, est bien décrit. So we have this translation here, the man, de même que, you need to understand that expression, which means as well as, yeah, de même que l'explorateur est bien décrit. There might be some alternatives here, and your mark scheme will give you some of the alternatives that are accepted, and it'll also show you which ones are definitely not accepted. Yeah, so sometimes there'll be ones that are not possible. Yeah, so check out the mark scheme. That's something I didn't say before, but l'explorateur est bien décrit. He's well, he's described well. Yeah, adverb there, how he's described. Y compris, we need to understand what that means as an expression. That means including something, including ses défauts peu connus, his little known or his lesser known faults. Défaut are faults, yeah? And it's referring to the explorers, yeah? We're talking about his faults. The man, as well as the explorer, is described well, including his little known faults. Oh, sorry, need to carry on here. Oh, I've done it again. Keep touching the wrong button there too. Like, okay, so on se demande. Se demande is to not to demand, but it's to wonder. So, however, pourtant, however, I would start with however here at the start. So, however, on se demande, we wonder pendant ce film, during this film, qu'est-ce qui ne va pas avec l'Odyssée? Okay, so thinking about it, qu'est-ce qui ne va pas? Ne and pas, notice if there are negatives anywhere. So what is wrong? What is wrong with the Odyssey? The name of the film, okay? So you can keep I can translate it Odyssey or keep it in the French with italics. I would say, yeah, conditional. I would say that this type or this kind of film, ce genre, yeah, this kind of film, sort of film, it teaches us, nous apprend beaucoup, okay, teaches us a lot, it teaches us a great deal, but stimulates us, mais nous stimule très peu, very little. It does very little, does not stimulate us much, okay. Si vous voulez, si vous voulez, present tense, if you want in biography, if you want a biography, same word, about Cousteau or of Cousteau, the name, yeah, he's got a capital letter. You will be ravi, vous serez, future tense, yeah, you will be delighted, you will be pleased. Car, remember here, is because, translating as because, sa vie est complexe. Sa vie, his life, is complex, is complicated. Par contre, on the other hand, si vous êtes venu voir de belles images, ce sera une grosse déception. So if you've come to see some beautiful shots, you know, some beautiful photos, ce sera une grosse déception. It's going to be a huge disappointment. You're going to be sorely disappointed. Okay, so variations on that sort of theme. So there it is as a correct version. Again, you know, pause the recording at any point and have a go yourself. And then you can check it through with this version here, but there are also some alternatives on the mark scheme as well. Okay, so if you want to check the mark scheme, please do. The very last one we've got here, because the other one is for you to practice yourself, 2019 paper, you've got the last short paragraph. Remember, question 4, read it for context, then look at the underlined paragraph that you need to translate. Do exactly what we've said before. Color code, look at the tenses. What tense are they? You know, what are these tenses? Future, infinitive, you know, what are they? Imperfect, yeah? Have a little look. What tenses are these? And then look for some nouns. Again, different color code. Check where your nouns are in the text. Remember, as we said, articles will be useful. Yeah. Remember, français can be an adjective. Here it's a noun. It's got a capital letter. Petit is small in front of, which is the adjective there. Yeah. So we got, are the nouns singular or are they plural? You know, plurals. We got plurals here. Here plural, and we got plural here on leur, which gives you a clue. These are plural nouns. We've got s's. Make sure you have that when you translate. Yeah. Set, make sure you know you translate set. Okay, so capital letters, you know it's the name of a country and so on. Adjectives, again, they're going to be close to the nouns, aren't they? Which, you know, look for the endings. Which noun are they agreeing with? You know, what that gives you clues as well. Singular, plural, so masculine, feminine. Adverbs, These are the ones I was thinking of about the ending. This is a bit similar to the ly ending with the adverb. Yeah, in French you'll get this sort of ending quite often, which gives you a clue it's an adverb. Yeah, and then you have negatives, remember, to look out for. And this text has a couple here, ne and jamais and ne plus. So think about what does that mean, because that's going to completely change your translation. If you don't put ne jamais if you don't translate that, you're not going to have a correct translation there, are you? So I will never something, and this is no, yeah, future, connaître, yeah. So let's go through ne plus, no longer, yeah, so no longer something. And these are some of the false friends, the tricky words that might trip you up. So en dépit de, in despite of, is not in despite of, sorry, it's in spite of. So again, careful with that. A lot of people put in despite of, and that's not correct, I suppose, because of the day here at the start or in the French. Yeah, par hasard is not a hazard, it's not a danger, it's a different expression. Niche was translated quite often as niche. Service civil is not the civil service. Okay. Insensé, incensed, sensitive, sensible. No, none of those. Effectuer, to effect, and véritable is not to effect. Okay, véritable is not veritable or varying or anything, you know. So let's have a little think what we're going to put here. So, je ne connaîtrai jamais les véritables raisons de la séparation soudaine de mes parents. So we're going to go back through, you read the text all the way through, and then take it a line by line approach. So I will never, ne and jamais means never, doesn't it? I will never connaître, no, future tense. The real, véritable is real, and raison are reasons. Reasons, yeah, for what are the reasons for the separation, the sudden separation. So you're gonna have to go back to soudain, séparation, so sudden separation of my parents. My parents, we would say in English, wouldn't we? My parents' sudden separation. Yeah. So have a little think about that. So we've got sudden separation of my parents. Papa était un petit français. So father, daddy or father, papa is really daddy, isn't it, as a translation, because father would be your père. Papa était un petit français, was a little Frenchman who came to Africa, arrivé en Afrique, arrivé to Africa, yeah, par hasard, which means by chance, in order to, yeah, effectuate means to complete, not to effect or effectuate or anything like that. And again, service civil is not civil service, although it sounds like that, doesn't it? He isn't coming to complete his civil service. National service would go well there, or his civilian service. Okay, but not civil service. He came, il venait, past tense, yeah, he was coming, he came from a village which was nestled. Niche means nestled, okay? Dans les montagnes, in the mountains, which strangely, étrangement, strangely resembled paysage. Was a little bit, people think of pays, which is country, isn't it? It's not. Paysage is the countryside, the landscape there, yeah, the landscape. So it strangely resembled, looked like, ressemblé. Make sure you got the past here, yeah. It strangely resembled the Burundi is the name, yeah, keep it in a capital here. Burundi landscape. Quant à maman, quant means as for. So as for mum, she was gradually, petit means gradually, she was gradually losing all hope, tout espoir, Again, she was losing, check your tense, losing all tout espoir de survivre, hope of surviving cette guerre insensée. This guerre, war, and insensé is referring to the guerre, the adjective, which means senseless, insensé, senseless war, yeah, meaningless. En dépit de, in spite of, it's a bit like malgré, yeah, if you've heard of malgré. In spite of their love, they could no longer, ne plus, they could no longer do something. Could, good translation, yes, past, yeah, imperfect tense. They could no longer do something. And partager is to share. Le rêve are the dreams, so it's their dreams. They could no longer share their dreams. Simplement leurs illusions. So simply, again, adverb there. So simply, or only their illusions. Yeah. Okay, fantastic. This is an example translation. There are other alternatives. Okay, so the mark scheme gives you a fuller some of the others as well. So have a little look at the mark scheme for some other ideas, but have a good look at it and have another go yourself. Yeah, so have a go at these translations. And the one I was talking to you about earlier, further practice, is this sample assessment. Here it is here. You don't have the you don't have one a little bit of paragraph before as context with this, unfortunately. Okay, so you just have to take it as it is. Read, you know, it gives you a little bit of a title there at the start. So again, read all the way through it, do exactly as we've said. I'm going to slip through that. It gives you the marks, you know, the mark scheme here, what you get the marks for, and the answers are here. Okay, but I'm skipping through that because I want you to realize the answers are there, but have a go at it yourself before you check with the answers. Yeah, so it's just there as an extra practice. Okay, to summarize, read the text through, annotate the words and work out what they mean. So as we've just been doing tonight, yeah, color code, write down what the tenses are, or masculine, feminine, put an M and an F, or sing and plu for singular and plural. So you check that you do translate them as such, yeah, when it comes to writing down the English. Use the gap fill paragraph for help with the context, the one that you will have preceded. You know, it's just preceding, just before, the one that you'll have done just before you get onto this question, if you're going to do them in order. And it's a good idea to do that, particularly with these two, 4 and 5, they link. Look for clues when translating. All these clues were detectives, you know, articles, you know, adjectives, what are they referring to, nouns. So look for any clues that help. Don't leave any gaps. Make sure you haven't left something out. Put something in, have an educated guess, and then take your time at the end to go back through that translation. You check each section as you go along, check each sentence, have a read through it as you do it, but then go back to the whole thing and go back through it. Yeah, check the translation, read it back to yourself. Does the translation make sense and sound natural? That's what's so important. Is it what you could easily read? Does it make sense? If not, you need to work on it a bit more. Yeah, and if at the end, you know, you're checking through the paper at the end, again, go back through it, this translation again. Once you've had a bit of a gap, we've been doing, you know, another part of the paper. If you have time at the end, just you'll have had some breathing space to have another read again and go through it. Does it make sense? You know, if not, see what you can do to change it slightly.